2:13 a.m. You're exhausted. Your body's heavy. Your eyes burn. But your mind? Wide awake. And here's the part you don't want to hear. This isn't happening to you. You're doing it to yourself. It replays the awkward sentence you said at lunch. It predicts tomorrow's worst-case scenario. It imagines failure in cinematic detail. In the dark, your thoughts become louder than reality. Your brain turns your bedroom into a courtroom. Every memory is evidence. Every possibility is a threat. And you are both the defendant and the judge. Nothing is happening, yet your nervous system acts like a predator is in the room, not because the world is attacking you, because you're trying to control what it might do next. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most overthinking isn't intelligence. It's not responsibility. It's not preparation. It's an addiction to control. And the more you try to predict, rehearse, and secure every outcome, the more anxious you become. 2,000 years ago, long before smartphones, headlines, and comparison culture, the Stoics saw this clearly. Emperors, soldiers, slaves, people living through plagues, wars, betrayal, exile. Chaos wasn't a notification. It was daily life. Yet many of them cultivated something that feels almost mythical today: inner steadiness. Not because life was easier, but because their training was deeper. Tonight, you're going to learn 8 ancient Stoic habits that don't just reduce anxiety. They dismantle its foundation. These aren't pretty quotes. They're mental disciplines, daily practices, identity shifts. And the final habit? It doesn't calm anxiety temporarily. It removes its leverage over you. Let's begin. Habit 1. Calmly rehearse the worst and watch fear shrink. Most people suffer twice. First, in imagination. Then, if it happens, in reality. And often the imagined suffering is worse. You have a presentation tomorrow. Your mind whispers, you'll freeze. They'll judge you. You'll embarrass yourself. Your body responds as if this has already occurred. Your heart rate climbs. Your palms sweat. Sleep becomes negotiation. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It sounds pessimistic. It isn't. It's controlled exposure to fear. Instead of running from worst-case scenarios, you sit down with them deliberately. You take the vague cloud of dread and turn it into a specific possibility. What is the worst realistic outcome? You stumble over your words. You get criticized. You don't get chosen. Now pause. If that happens, then what? Will you die? No. Will your life end? No. Will you adapt, learn, recover? Almost certainly. Fear thrives in vagueness. It grows in shadows. When you calmly rehearse adversity, you bring it into light, and light shrinks monsters. Seneca advised occasionally imagining poverty while wealthy, hardship while comfortable. Not to be dramatic. To train resilience. To remind yourself, I can survive more than I think. Tomorrow morning, before the day begins, try this. What challenges might show up? Who might test my patience? What might not go as planned? If it happens, how will I respond with dignity? Then end with a quiet sentence. I am prepared to respond well. You're not attracting problems. You're removing their poison. Notice something. When you face fear voluntarily, it loses its surprise attack advantage. You stop being ambushed by your own imagination. That alone changes the way you sleep. Habit 2. Run the control test before feeding any worry. Anxiety feeds on confusion about control. You worry about what someone thinks of you, whether they'll text back, how the economy shifts, whether you'll succeed, how people will respond. But here's the Stoic blade that cuts cleanly through chaos. Some things are up to you. Some things are not. That's it. Epictetus built his entire philosophy on this line. It sounds simple until you apply it relentlessly. The next time anxiety appears, pause and ask, is this within my control? Be ruthless. You do not control other people's opinions, timing, outcomes, the past, random events. You do control your effort, your preparation, your attitude, your boundaries, your next action. When you attempt to control what isn't yours, you build a relationship with helplessness. You rehearse powerlessness. Your nervous system remains on alert because it's fighting something it can't influence. So create two mental buckets. Bucket 1, under my control. Bucket 2, not under my control. Every worry must go into one. If it's bucket 2, imagine dropping it into the ocean. Gone. If it's bucket 1, take one small action immediately. Action is the antidote to anxiety. Even tiny movement restores agency. Send the email. Write one paragraph. Go for a walk. Have the difficult conversation. Anxiety wants paralysis and prediction. The Stoic responds with clarity and motion. Try this quietly tomorrow. When your mind spins, don't argue with it. Sort it. You'll feel the difference almost instantly. Habit 3. Guard your mental gate. Limit what you consume. Be honest. How much of your stress today came from something that wasn't even your life? A headline. A comparison on social media. Someone else's outrage. A financial prediction. A stranger's opinion. You imported that stress. You didn't create it. The Stoics were extremely careful about what they allowed into their minds. Seneca warned that constant exposure to negativity weakens character. Today, that exposure is endless. Your attention is currency, and you are spending it recklessly if you don't choose deliberately. You cannot fill your mind with noise and expect peace. Build a gate. Before consuming information, ask, does this strengthen me? Or does this destabilize me? Not all information is useful. Some of it is emotional junk food, stimulating, addictive, and ultimately corrosive. Limit news to intentional windows. Unfollow accounts that provoke insecurity. Reduce exposure to outrage cycles. You wouldn't let strangers dump garbage in your living room. Why allow them unrestricted access to your mind? Your internal tone slowly becomes the tone of what you consume. If your inputs are chaotic, your inner world will mirror that chaos. Protecting your peace isn't ignorance, it's discipline. And discipline is power. Habit 4. Reflect daily. Train the mind like a warrior. Most anxiety is undigested experience. Moments you didn't process. Emotions you suppressed, mistakes you avoided examining. They accumulate. Then at night, they collect interest. The Stoics ended each day with reflection, not self-punishment, self-education. Before bed, ask, where was I strong today? Where did I act out of fear? Did I live according to my values? What would I adjust tomorrow? Write it down if you can. 5 minutes. No phone. No distraction. Reflection converts anxiety into instruction. Instead of vague guilt, you gain specific awareness. Instead of looping regret, you create intentional correction. Patterns become visible. You notice the person who consistently triggers you, the environment that drains you, the habits that sabotage you. And when you see patterns, you gain choice. Choice reduces anxiety, because anxiety thrives in unconscious repetition. When you reflect, you stop being surprised by yourself. You begin shaping yourself, and a mind that knows it is evolving, rests easier at night. Habit 5. Love your fate. Stop fighting reality. Here's where most overthinking secretly lives. Resistance. You wanted it to go differently. You didn't want that rejection. You didn't want that ending. You didn't want that delay. So you fight the fact. And fighting reality is exhausting. The Stoics practiced amor fati, love of fate. Not passive acceptance, not forced positivity, active embrace. You look at what happened and say, this is part of my path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the obstacle becomes the way. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can this develop in me? Courage, patience, humility, strategic thinking. You didn't choose the event, but you can choose what it produces in you. When something painful happens, pause, breathe, say internally, this too belongs. That shift is radical, because anxiety often comes from replaying what should have been. When you stop arguing with reality, you reclaim energy. Energy you can use to build instead of resist. This habit alone can transform months of rumination into forward motion. Habit 6. Collapse into the present moment. Almost all anxiety exists in imagined futures. What if I fail? What if I lose it? What if they leave? What if I can't handle it? You suffer in advance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, confine your attention to the present task. Right now, in this moment, what is actually happening? You are breathing. You are here. You are alive. The future has not arrived, yet your body reacts as if it has. So make presence physical. Feel your feet pressing into the floor. Notice the temperature of the air. Listen for the nearest sound. Take one slow breath and extend the exhale. This isn't mystical. It's neurological. Attention interrupts anxiety's projection. Anxiety needs fantasy. Presence cuts fantasy. Even 10 seconds of full awareness disrupts spiraling thoughts. Do this multiple times per day. Quietly. No announcement needed. You don't need to control the future. You need to inhabit the now. That's where your power actually lives. Habit 7. Practice voluntary discomfort. One of the greatest roots of anxiety is fear of discomfort. We aren't afraid of events. We're afraid of how uncomfortable they might feel. Seneca, despite wealth, practiced hardship intentionally. Simple meals, rough clothing, sleeping on the floor. And he asked himself, is this what I feared? The answer was usually no. When you deliberately expose yourself to small discomforts, you recalibrate your nervous system. You prove to yourself, I can handle difficulty. Try this. Take cold showers occasionally. Walk instead of drive. Wake earlier than required. Delay gratification. Do the hardest task first. This isn't self-punishment. It's psychological strengthening. If you never train discomfort, even minor stress feels catastrophic. But when you've practiced resilience voluntarily, future uncertainty feels smaller. Storms are less terrifying when you've stood in rain before. And here's what changes subtly. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. Identity shifts from, I hope nothing bad happens, to, I can handle what happens. That shift dramatically weakens chronic worry. Habit 8. Anchor. Your life to virtue, not outcomes. This is the deepest cut. Most anxiety exists because your peace depends on outcomes. Approval, success, money, recognition, control. But none of those are guaranteed. So your mind stays hyper-alert. The Stoics propose something radical. Base your life on virtue instead. Not looking good, being good. Before acting, don't ask, will this make me win? Ask, is this right? Before speaking, don't ask, how will this be received? Ask, is this honest? When your focus shifts from results to character, anxiety loses leverage. Because even if you fail externally, you can succeed internally. You can lose the job and keep integrity. Lose the argument and keep composure. lose approval, and keep self-respect. And self-respect creates quiet sleep. Results fluctuate. Virtue stabilizes. When you align with virtue, you stop negotiating your identity based on outcomes. You act, you adapt, you learn, but you no longer panic over what you cannot guarantee. That is freedom. That is strength. That is peace that doesn't depend on applause. Final reflection. You may not control storms, but you can train how you stand in them. Overthinking is not a sign that you care deeply. Often, it's a sign that you're trying to control what was never yours to control. Tonight, you can begin differently. Rehearse fear calmly, sort control clearly, guard your inputs, reflect daily, love your fate, return to the present, train discomfort, live by virtue. Do this consistently, and anxiety doesn't disappear overnight. It loses authority. And when anxiety no longer governs you, your life opens. If this shifted something in you, pause for a second. Which of the 8 habits hit hardest? Write the number in the comments and finish this sentence. I choose Stoicism over fear. Someone else reading might need exactly your words. If you know someone who struggles with overthinking, send this to them. Sometimes one idea at the right moment changes someone's entire week. And if you want more practical philosophy like this, grounded, applicable, and honest, subscribe to Stoic Horology so you don't miss what's next. If this brought you clarity, leave a like so more people can find it. Control what you can. Release what you can't. Train your mind daily. Peace isn't found. It's built.